Welcome, everyone. I am Joe Zapata, and we are going to do Captain America, the Brave New World movie review, non-spoiler review. It's going to be non-spoiler for everyone, non-spoiler. So, and I'm going to do that with my buddy Dave Callari. What's up, Dave?
What's up, Jay-Z? What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. So we saw it on Friday. I saw it on Saturday. First, let's talk box office. And the 3 days it did 88 million. Was that correct?
Yeah, let's look about 88. I think what did we say last week? We said probably around the 80 to 90 mark.
Correct. And I think the 4-day it's going to be 100.
Okay.
And I think it's going to do well in the second weekend also because Valentine's Day was that weekend, and a lot of my friends I know didn't go see it because of Valentine's Day, and they said they're going to see it this weekend. So I think it's going to be a steady box office, and I think it's not that bad as far as with the box office. However, the cinema, it was a cinema score that was like the third lowest in the. I don't know if you saw that.
It was up there with the Eternals and Quantumania.
Those two, yes. So it got a low score. Now, Dave, you saw it first, so I'm going to go to you first. What did you think of the movie?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
You've heard the news about reshoots and this and that.
Correct.
You can definitely see, when you're watching this movie, you can definitely see where things were kind of spliced together and maybe where some rewrites were done and this and that. So the story can get, there's no real plot holes like why is that happening? It's just, I just think there's some underdeveloped plot points in there. But overall, I think it was a solid movie. It's much better than a lot of the outlets are giving it credit for, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's very popular that they're shitting on it. A lot of people are shitting on it. I don't know why, but they are. What if you had any cons? What were the cons that you thought of the movie? It could have been better.
Just more developed storylines. I think the Juan Carlos Esposito character, he's a fantastic addition just in terms of what he brings as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And his character, while he was menacing for the scenes he had, he kind of comes in, does his thing, and he leaves, and you're like, well, that's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like Darth Maul, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He had a couple great fights, and then he's cut in half. That's all we got.
Exactly. For me, I enjoyed the movie. It's not Winter Soldier. It's not Civil War. However, I enjoyed it. If I had to give it a grade, I'd give it like a C+.
Okay.
But as far as the movie, the cons, the one issue I had with it was I love the Hulk fight scene. With Cap, that was great. I love that scene. I love them flying. The one thing I had an issue with was the leader.
Okay.
I didn't like his look. Now I heard he looked different originally in the first reshoot or something. I don't know. They had with the with the beard and the mustache and everything. Mustache. But I didn't like his look. What did you think of the leader? Did you like his look?
You almost had an idea what he was going to look like just based off when we saw him the very first time. We're trying not to spoil anything here, but we've seen this character before, just not in this form. So once you get a feel of who he actually is, we kind of saw what he was going to look like in the original movie from years ago, 17 years at this point.
Yep.
I think it's fine. It's the same way you couldn't do the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 with like the Fu Manchu. You can do that, but should you do it? Does it still make sense? So I was okay with it, and that's not to say that. Let's say if he somehow figures out how he gets stronger or whatever, like could it change? Could they just make him change at some point? It doesn't take anything away from the movie for me. Just like at some point Wanda lost her Wakandan accent. I mean her Sokovian accent.
Yes.
So it's like whatever. It doesn't. If it doesn't take you out of the movie too much, it should be fine.
Did you see this as almost like a sequel to Hulk, Incredible Hulk? At points, did you see that? It was
so if we're going to dive into that, so much of this builds off of the story that was originally from the Incredible Hulk 2008 or 9, when most people felt that was probably at this point probably thought it was a throwaway movie because there hasn't been a solo one since.
Correct.
Edward Norton's gone, and the only character we got out of that was Gemma Ross. I appreciate that there was some actual payoff. As we're going through, I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought this was going to go in a different direction, and I'm glad we're getting to see what happened over this time span. So I've seen people say that it's a little bit of a sequel to the Incredible Hulk, and they don't like that for some reason.
Hmm. I thought it was a great. I thought it
I
was a
thought
great
it was
movie.
fine.
Yep.
Listen, there is so much source material, but how much are we trying to stay true to the comics? How much are we trying to honor the stuff that happened in the movies? So I think it's a fine place to start.
Mhm.
It brings a lot of stuff that needs some closure and could make for a really interesting story going forward. Like, how does Leader show up in Doomsday or Secret Wars?
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're right. Someone who I thought did a great job too was the guy who played Carl Lumley, who played Isaiah
yeah,
Bradley.
he's
He did.
fantastic.
He's did a fantastic job. I mean, if they said they were going to do a little small Marvel series on him on Disney Plus, I'd be like, wow, that'd probably be pretty
I
good.
would love to see what he did when they were talking about his missions in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
I
that would
think
be really cool.
that would be great.
Yep.
Just like everyone wants to see the series with Cap, returning the Infinity Stones. Like there are some good stories that they could tell. They just
Mhm.
have to get to it.
Yep. One of the things that people have been mentioning, and I'm going to ask you this, is that Anthony Mackie, I thought he did a great job. Now, I'm a big Chris Evans fan, but they got to pass the torch over Anthony Mackie. Do you think he's the one that could lead the Avengers in the next two movies? You think he's the guy to be the
I
next
think
guy?
he's the best candidate. He's not the guy just yet.
Hmm.
But
But
I'm
he,
glad they're not trying to just flat out do Chris Evans as Anthony Mackie.
that's a good
Evans
point.
Evans did his thing as Cap,
Hmm.
and I he had one of my favorite, if not my favorite story arcs out of all the characters from the first couple of phases.
Hmm.
Obviously, I love Iron Man, crowd favorite. Everyone says I look like him anyway. But
Yeah.
but Captain America had a really satisfying arc, and him and Peggy was really the only kind of like romantic relationship I cared about in any of those movies. And
Hmm.
you knew he was going to do whatever he needed to do to get the job done.
Hmm.
And I think Mackie, Sam Wilson's character, really learned from him
Hmm.
in all the movies.
Hmm.
So people were mad that Bucky didn't get it, and I don't think Bucky deserves it. And Bucky's clearly in the movie character, he doesn't want it.
Yeah, that's true.
He
He doesn't
doesn't
want.
want it.
Hmm. There was a lot of also debate, and should he take the serum or something? And I don't want to spoil what happens, but if should take it or should he not take it? I think that's part of his story, just being like Batman. He doesn't need superpowers, but he can do what he can. People were also complaining a little bit. He doesn't use the shield as much. He does his wings. He's got an Ant-Man helmet. You've seen it in the trailer when he wears his suit. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think he looks great. What did you think of his sidekick, the Falcon?
You know what? I thought that Torres, I forget his first name, Joaquin
Danny,
Torres. Joaquin
Joaquin Torres.
Torres.
Yep.
I thought he was going to be annoying. I thought
Mhm.
he was going to be. I don't know if you saw the last Ghostbusters, but that kid podcast, like he almost became an annoying character, like trying to be comedic relief. He
Mhm.
was just enough at the right amount of tone, the right amount of time. I think he was fine. Um, I don't know if I love like having two flying heroes.
Mhm.
I don't know where his storyline goes from here. But
Mhm.
for what he did in this movie, I thought it was fine.
Mhm. Harrison Ford as Red Hulk. I think his performance was great. What did you think of Red Hulk?
Red Hulk looked good.
Mhm.
The fight was cool.
Yep.
Um, Harrison Ford, legendary actor. He's not going to do a bad job. People, does he phone it in? Harrison Board, they would call him, right?
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job. I really liked it. I really liked him. I really wish that William Hurt was still here.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
he really made that. I think he made that character what it was with his tone and
Mhm.
his gruffness. Harrison Ford has a different kind of old man gruffness to him,
Yeah.
and it just seems like two different characters. And it's not bad. It's not
No,
bad at all.
not bad at all.
It's just not the same thing.
Yep. I always wondered, why they recast William Hurt, but why wouldn't they want to recast T'Challa, Black Panther, which I think they're going to eventually do from what I hear,
They'll
but
probably do some. What I keep hearing, it's most likely going to be some time jump type of thing where his son that we see at the end of Wakanda Forever ends
mhm.
up being of an age where he can be the Black Panther.
Okay.
And I think I'm okay with that because I think it was just because of how Chadwick Boseman passed. Right, he was sick.
Mhm.
Nobody knew
Nobody knew.
everything that he did for the last couple of years of his life, like just churning out movies and giving fantastic performances. I think
Mhm.
it's different than a really great actor like Hurt having a long career, and I don't recall if he was sick or not, but he was of the age where he lived his life, and it's I
Mhm.
think the way these guys leave us and the impact and the shock of it I think plays into it a little bit, and
Mhm.
of course General Ross isn't he wasn't a linchpin character of the universe at all.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
was no General Ross movies.
No. Yeah. But what would you grade this movie for yourself? What would you think?
Uh, I would go B or B minus.
Okay.
I liked it a
Okay.
lot, and off of the back of, I thought Marvels was fine. It got a
Mhm.
lot of hate because misogyny.
Yeah.
People want to be mad at it for what people want to
Okay.
hate Brie Larson for whatever reason. It
Yep.
was fine. Eternals was not good.
Mhm.
Um, Quantumania was not good.
Not good.
I'm looking at the other movies on the list of like towards the bottom of opening weekends, and Iron Man 2 was on there. Iron Man
Mhm.
2 was on that, but it had a $128 million opening weekend. Like that's pretty good.
Mhm.
Um, and Thor: The Dark World was on there too. I think that made like 85 million its opening weekend.
Yeah.
So this kind of stacks up with most of those and is better than a few of them, I think.
Mm. Yeah. I think a lot of people are expecting more. Like you can look at the first three Captain Americas. Those were probably, I think, out of all the series between Thor, Iron Man, I think his was the best three series of movies.
Yeah, I think they had the best trilogy.
Best trilogy, correct, 100%. So I think with this one, they were expecting something big, and you just got something that was decent, but people might think we're expecting more.
Because
Um,
they also need to stop coming at us with the Winter Soldier vibes. Like, stop telling us it's like the Winter Soldier
mhm,
because it's
that's
not
true.
going. It's not going
It's
to
not
be.
going to be. No.
That was
There's
lightning in a bottle. I
Yeah.
really think so. It was. I think that was the Russos' first foray into doing a Marvel movie, and I
Mhm,
just remember watching it like, oh my god, this is excellent. And then I actually ended up taking my mother and father for it because I think it was like Father's Day or Mother's Day or whatever. And my mom doesn't know anything about these movies, and she walked out of that like that was really good.
wow.
So it's like if you can get people who don't know anything about the universe to buy into like the espionage and what's happening and like have a good ride, that's a solid movie.
Yeah, it was really, I thought it was, like I said, it was a good movie, decent movie. Obviously, out of the Captain America movies, I put this probably the last because Winter Soldier's first for me, then Civil War. It's both really close though. Then First Avenger, and then this one. But that's how I put them. I was going to ask you now something off with the Captain America. Now that he's sort of the guy, we're going to be the leader. I think Kevin Feige said, because there's no one else, like you said, who can really do it. The Avengers movie, Doomsday. Do you think, and let's put a kind of a, who do you think, what Avengers do you think are going to be in the next Avenger movies?
So we're gonna definitely have Cap, Strange. Doctor
Doctor Strange?
Strange might be like his lieutenant, right? Like his second in command, as he
Mhm.
kind of was
Yep.
towards the end of Infinity War.
Do you
Uh,
think Thor is in it? OG. You got to have an OG guy in there. What do you think? Thor
I
is going to be in it?
think he will be. If we don't hear anything about Chris Hemsworth not doing anything Marvel related in the next 8 to 9 months, he'll probably do it. I don't know how big his role will be.
Yep.
Um, Valkyrie will probably be in there. The Hulk will probably be in there.
Mhm. I
Uh,
think someone we need in there who I thought since Endgame, it probably was the best movie after Endgame, Shang-Chi. I
yeah, they
think
keep talking about if there's going to be a sequel or whatever. So
yes,
he'll definitely. I think he'll definitely be there only because of that the post credit scene they had.
correct. Mhm.
Um, who else?
You
War
think
Machine, Rhodey.
Captain Marvel, you think is gonna be in it?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I mean, I think Brie Larson should, as long as there's no contract disputes or anything like that. I
Mhm,
like her as the character. I buy her in that role. I'd
mhm,
rather not have to get accustomed to somebody else playing that role this
mhm.
late in the game.
Yeah.
Um, I guess she's fine. She's totally fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just like any of these other characters. She's not the problem in any of her movies.
Okay. Yep, you're right.
I think it usually is just the writing.
Correct.
Um,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man, yes. Do we see White Vision show back up? You
I'd
know,
like to see something with him come back.
we're going on like 4 years now, almost
Mhm.
for the
Yeah.
last time we saw him.
And yeah, WandaVision.
Fantastic Four
Yeah, I
should
think
be
they
there.
might come a little bit late. I think they'll be there.
Ant
Fantastic
Man.
Four. Ant-Man, I think, is gonna be there.
Um,
Deadpool and Wolverine. That's kinda tough.
well, you know what? We already had the adamantium spoiled in the
Correct.
trailers and
Yes.
on the that was the if you watch Disney Plus, their first look is pretty much the scene in the beginning where Ross is giving a speech about Celestial Island and adamantium.
Yes. So there's a
So
connection. It's gonna happen.
will Wolverine be in the Avengers? I think they're going to try to make a push to make it happen. Is it
Mhm.
going to make sense? I don't know, but I would be remiss if we're not going to get some form of an X-Man in
Yeah.
there.
Some yeah.
There's no way we're going to the next two big team up movies and not having them show up. Even
Mhm.
if they'll show up like Spider-Man did in Civil War.
Yep. I think you gotta have Black Panther, some or Shuri.
Something or Cherie.
Yep.
I,
And I think Star-Lord too. They said he was coming back.
yeah, some of the Guardians.
Some of the Guardians, right? They're gonna have to come back. I think so. But I
Who
mean,
did, who did we end Guardians 3 with? It was Groot.
Groot.
Was it Drax? Was Drax there or no?
Yeah, Drax was there, I think. Yes, Drax was there.
Um, James
Ne
Gunn's brother.
yep,
Forget the
Nebula.
actor's name.
Nebula there. Nebula was there, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like they may all be
They
here.
all may come back. Yep. So we could see them probably in there. Trying to think who else might be in there in the Avengers movie besides.
Thunderbolts probably show up. Maybe not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, they should.
Depends on
They
who
should.
survives the next movie. If they
Mhm,
don't all make it,
That's true. I don't think I don't think Doctor Doom's going to be as strong as Thanos. I don't know. Maybe they're going to
no,
make.
I don't. I don't. I think it's impossible.
Yeah, they're not going to make him. But we'll see. I do like I do like Anthony Mackie as Captain America, and I think he's going to be fine to lead it. I mean, everyone's complaining about him, and I don't know why. It's just very popular these days just to shit on him, shit on Marvel movies.
I think it's just because he's not Evans. You get. I do think. I'll say it. I think because he's black. Some people, which is dumb. I thought
Mhm,
that was the best part of him talking to Isaiah towards the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
mhm,
Um, I don't
yeah,
know. I think, like I said, I think he does a good job. I think he does a really good job.
yep, he
I
does.
I don't mind. The only thing I mind about the serum is how often he's talked about not taking it.
Correct.
Like, just tell us once we get it. Like, I would feel the same way.
Mhm,
But he's got a vibranium suit from the Wakandans that can
yeah,
seemingly do anything. The only thing I would like to see is let's streamline his power set. Like,
mhm,
what can the suit do and what can it do?
yeah,
So
because it
it's
seems
a
like a
little bit
mixture of
more.
stuff.
It's a little bit more even keeled. Like
Mhm,
the in the Hulk fight, he was taking a lot of damage,
he was.
and it's like, so then you should be seemingly indestructible any other time.
Mhm,
So like he had a couple of fist fights with some regular dudes. If
yes.
you can take that from the Hulk, he should be able to dispatch those guys much easier.
You're right. Like if I was Anthony Mackie, I would have been taking the serum. I would have been taking Tren. I'd have been taking it all. I'd been taking it all.
He's all loaded up into the backpack.
Everything. Just zip it up, put it in, just like Bane. Boom. Would have been pressing buttons all over.
Yeah. Borrow Bane's little backpack.
Yeah, I thought the CGI too a little bit during the fight was a little bit off, but who knows? And you could see the reshoots where some of them were.
Yeah, I think any of the CGI stuff, the reshoot stuff is, it's. I think it's tough. At the end of we've seen some of these scenes in the trailer. At
Yes,
the
the
end
trailer.
when he's talking and it's like the low light, it's like dusk. I think that's really tough to get right on a green screen,
Hmm.
and that could have been a reshoot. We've heard the reports about the time crunches that a lot of these VFX artists undergo,
Hmm.
and that's really what it comes down to. Like, give these guys some more time,
Hmm.
or stop trying to do rewrites. Just let
Hmm.
if the movie doesn't test well, I mean, how many times are you going to redo it before it doesn't resemble anything. It doesn't resemble the story you were trying to tell in the first place. And then you have a movie that like visually looks good, but doesn't really make sense narratively. Like it just, I'd rather have a solid, well thought out story that kind of makes sense. That you're like, that could be better than just watching someone literally try to piece it together in real time. Like it doesn't. It's I think a worse experience.
One of my friends who's a pro wrestler and he's friends with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was supposed to be in that movie.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yes, and his part was cut out.
I heard people thought he was supposed to be Juan Carlos Esposito's character, like the leader of Serpent Society or whatever.
Correct. So, yes, he was, and he was a little bit upset about that. But you got to wonder, how was the movie bad when they did all those reshoots? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. That's the thing. You're at the mercy of whatever test audience you use. Like how many audiences are you testing it in front of? 10 people, 15 people, 300 people? How many times are you doing it?
Yep. I liked Esposito's role, Sidewinder. I like that role. I would like to see more of him, but I really like that role.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Like when he's fighting Sam Wilson, I was like, yo, this is a good fight. Like, I was actually scared for Sam. I'm like, he's got none of his gear.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, nothing. He was, and and I was wondering, I don't want to spoil anything, but I thought someone else could have popped up and helped, if you know what I mean, who was there.
Besides just giving him a pep talk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, hey, where are you, man? We need you right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't have cared if he'd done it, but at the same time, I'm glad that he didn't take the spotlight away from Sam.
That's a good point. Really good point. Because it's Sam's movie, and I think it was really.
We know what he's capable of.
Correct.
Right? So
yeah, it was really good. So overall, you think it would be a B minus?
Yeah, B minus. I walked out of the theater being like, finally, a movie that I didn't mind paying $25 to go see.
Yeah, I mean, last movie I saw, I think, was Kraven the Hunter, and that was really bad.
Man, you spent money on that?
I did.
Wow.
I wanted to see whatever. That was really bad movie. Really bad. But I think this was good. I thought it was pretty decent.
I have one of my clients. He works for Sony, and he's on like the sales level. So he's always dealing with the theater owners and whatever. And I think it was the first time I met him. Like, so how's that Kraven movie panning out for you? He was like, oh man, it's rough. It's really hurting right now.
And I know they lost money. Obviously lost money with that movie. But you got to think they're the Spider-Man movies. They're still doing okay. They're not going to be. They can afford maybe putting out one or two bad movies that tank like this, because the Spider-Man movies, they're getting paid from Marvel to have Spider-Man in there, so they're doing all right.
I just think they need to realize that you can't have a Spider-Man adjacent universe without even a mention of Spider-Man.
Correct.
We had weird jumpy Spider-Man in Madam Web.
Yes.
Spanish guy just doing his jumps. I don't think there was a mention of Spider-Man in Kraven. The Spider-Man scene that was supposed to be Morbius didn't make the cut, where they was walking by like the Sony Spider-Man picture on the wall or whatever. It's just hard. And then you have something amazing like the Spider-Verse movies. It's clear people want more Spider-Man, not less.
Correct. That's right. And I remember in the trailer, Harrison Ford says to him, "You're not Steve Rogers." I don't remember hearing that in the movie. Did they cut?
He did.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. I remember hearing that in the movie I saw it.
It's edited a little differently in the trailer. But he said something along the lines of, Sam shouldn't even be in the fight because he's not Steve Rogers.
Okay, that's why. Because I was like, it doesn't sound the same, but
yeah,
whatever. And I want to mention that Hot Toys behind you, right there, Falcon.
Yes,
right there. People can see that back there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's very cool.
Hot Toys is great. If you don't mind taking out a loan to buy these figures.
They're very expensive, but they're worth it. They're really expensive.
The only one I have. Every other collectible thing I have is either Marvel Legends, like all the props, the gauntlets and the shield, and all my big figurines are NECA.
Okay.
And I got a couple Legos, like the Ecto one, right?
Ecto one, right there. I see it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well. I guess Dave. I mean, we both thought it was good. We thought it was decent.
Yeah. If anyone watches this in the next few days and they're like not sure if they want to see it, but they if you remotely enjoyed some of the movies that didn't do so great in the latest phase, go see this. You will most likely enjoy it.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. I think it's a movie that people should see.
Yep.
I don't know why I shouldn't get in that hate, but I 100% see it. It's a decent movie,
And if they're really starting to pull back on how much entertainment we're getting, again, we talked about this last week. It's this, then Fantastic Four, and then Avengers is next year. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that's happening between now and the big movies. And I don't like Daredevil is coming, but who knows how that plays in? Like, does Daredevil show up in the Avengers? That'd be awesome if he does.
That would be cool if he did. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Punisher, like, they should be in there, but who knows? So we're not getting as much Marvel stuff as we used to, which is fine because clearly quantity isn't outdoing quality. So
you're right. Yeah. Well, we'll see. All right, Dave. Well, I think that was really it. And I thank you so much. Brave New World. Go out and see it, guys.
Yeah, man.
All right, Dave. I'll talk to you later, brother.
Brother.
You got it, man.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand Podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.